Hello to all my dear brothers and sisters, and whoever you are, welcome to this channel. My name is Abdias. Let me remind you that I am one of Jehovah's Witnesses, very proud to be one, and of course deeply convinced that this organization truly belongs to the one true God, Jehovah. If you want to know my arguments on this subject, I refer you to videos 3, 4, and 5 on this channel. This video follows videos number 6, 7, and 8, which are dedicated to this blind obedience towards those who lead us, a behavior we are regularly encouraged to adopt, which to me is absolutely not biblical, and which, as the disaster during the pandemic proved, can even be extremely dangerous, even leading to the death of our dear brothers and sisters. And that is why this subject is particularly close to my heart. The goal is that in the future, brothers and sisters will know how to react, what their rights are in Jehovah's eyes. If elders give them instructions on completely personal matters that are supposedly left entirely to the conscience of the brothers and sisters, given that the word instruction keeps coming up in the organization, we give you instructions, you must obey the instructions you are given, and so on. It would be good to define what an instruction is, or rather the difference between an order, an instruction, and a suggestion. It's important to clarify this in order to understand the degree of obedience that is required from the brothers and sisters. For example, an order. I ask you to do something, you have to do it because I have the authority to require it from you, as might be the case with a boss, a superior, etc. A suggestion? I think this way of doing things would be best, but you do as you wish. It's your problem, your personal decision. We fully understand. We do exactly what we truly desire, and we will not face any repercussions or sanctions. It's our personal problem. Now, an instruction. According to Google's definition, an instruction is intended to help a person successfully complete a task or process. End of quote. So we would say to someone, this is what you need to do to successfully complete this process. In the case of the organization, it would be like telling a brother or sister, we are instructing you, giving you instruction so that you can do things properly, meaning as Jehovah wants. This very clearly implies that if you do not follow the instruction given to you by the organization, if you decide to do things differently, it is not good. Because obviously you don't let yourself be educated. This is why the instructions given by the organization are perceived by the brothers and sisters as orders, and certainly not as suggestions. The proof being that brothers and sisters who did not obey would be considered rebellious, disobedient, and could be threatened with losing their privileges. We analyzed in the previous video number 8, paragraph 20 of page 20 of the Watchtower of October 1st, 1994, which strictly prohibits all elders from interfering in the private life of brothers and sisters, to deprive them of their freedom to decide and make their own decisions when it comes to personal decisions and who does not reign. No biblical principle. Of course, we also mentioned the handling of the COVID crisis, no comment. Let's now look at some other situations. For example, the obligation to obey instructions in case of danger from a natural disaster or possible future natural disasters, etc. The Watchtower of December 2022, page 19, paragraph 12, we can read there. We may also receive instructions regarding a lockdown, an evacuation, how to obtain essential goods, or when and how to provide assistance ourselves. Not obeying could endanger our own lives as well as those of the elders. End of quote. So we clearly understand the obligation to obey in this paragraph. Reassure me, you don't actually want to endanger the lives of the elders by disobeying instructions, do you? In this paragraph, it's about instructions from the organization to force us, for example, to go into lockdown. But, excuse me, that's a completely personal decision. I'm not a baby. I have a TV too. I have a radio too. I have a Bible too. I have a brain too. I know how to make my own decisions too. During the devastating global crisis of 2020, a significant number of people tragically lost their lives because of the extensive lockdown measures, either due to the severe lack of essential care or, regrettably, by committing suicide. If this choice doesn't come from the government authorities, then it's 100% personal. Same goes for an evacuation. I might have information that's different from what the elders have, or even more complete, which could lead me, for example, not to evacuate. But again, this choice is 100% personal. He then goes on in this paragraph to talk about the possibility of endangering the lives of the elders if we don't obey. Why not? Well, little Abdias is going to solve this problem for you in 13 seconds. From the podium, the message will be as follows. Dear brothers and sisters, please know that if some decide not to follow the instructions given in case of a disaster, the elders may not be able to risk their lives to come to your aid. You will have to take responsibility for your choices. It's simple, isn't it? So why do the members of the governing body and the elders feel compelled to constantly threaten their brothers and sisters, to expel them or insult them by calling them disobedient, rebellious brothers and sisters if they don't conform to their way of thinking, even on completely personal matters? No matter how much I turn the problem over in my mind, I can't find any valid reason for the way they act. On the other hand, there is a very significant danger for Jehovah's people. A danger that I will present at the end of this video series. Another example, long-term studies. Again, no matter how much I turn the problem over in my mind, I just can't understand what the organization's issue is with long-term studies. Let's take the example of a young person who decides to become a doctor because they've always dreamed of helping people. Well, the parents could be disfellowshipped if it turns out that they support or encourage their children in this direction. Sorry, but what does it matter to you? If the young person feels capable of maintaining good spirituality while pursuing long studies, that's their business. How is that any of your concern? They're an adult, they can do what they want. Do you really think a brother who's a window washer is more spiritual than a brother who's a doctor? Is he putting his spirituality at risk? How would you know? Are you inside his heart? Are you inside his head? Please listen to my testimony. In one of my former congregations, there was a couple, both very intelligent, who had very well-paid professions. They had 2 children, a boy and a girl. Both of them, like their parents, were very intelligent. Clearly, the parents paid no attention to the instructions from the governing body about pursuing higher education. And so their children pursued long university studies. To my knowledge, the children have always maintained perfect regularity in their spiritual activities up to this day. But even better, the son, with a particularly impressive academic background, eventually ended up working part-time in the business district of a certain European capital. Working part-time while still earning a salary, with particularly enviable qualifications, and you'll never guess, he was serving as a regular pioneer, all while fulfilling his responsibilities within his congregation. Meanwhile, the brother, the model, the famous window washer, worked from 8 a.m. to noon, 2 p.m., even 8 p.m. to provide for his family's needs. That being said, I might surprise you, because personally, I don't encourage anyone to pursue long studies. And for the most part, they share the view of the brothers on the governing body, who encourage brothers and sisters to lead a simple life. In Jehovah's service, I completely agree with them. What I can't understand is, once again, this obsession with threatening brothers and sisters who decide to do otherwise on matters that are entirely personal and a matter of conscience. You want to pursue long studies? Then pursue long studies. But if things go wrong, you'll have no one to blame but yourself. We warned you. And indeed, what is the reality? Well, if the organization has warned the brothers and sisters about the danger that higher education poses to their spirituality, then it has done its duty before Jehovah. Jehovah cannot reproach it for anything. So what's the point of threatening brothers and sisters with punishment if they don't think like you on a personal matter? Another example, the governing body explained in a communication that it does not approve of dating websites for Jehovah's Witnesses. Which means, in the organization's language, that if it is discovered that you are registered on one of these sites, you risk having problems. This communication explained the dangers that could exist on these dating sites. But once again, it is important to remember that the brothers and sisters are not merely children, they are in fact responsible adults and should always be treated as such, with due respect and consideration. So currently, there are a few articles from the organization that address this subject and are extremely well written, and which lay out all the different dangers that could exist in using these dating sites. These articles do not condemn the fact that brothers and sisters sign up for them. So, has the governing body's view changed in this area? Or could a body of elders still use that communication from about 10 years ago to interfere, once again, in the private lives of the brothers and sisters? Another example is the choice for a Christian to own a weapon to protect themselves, to protect their family, obviously while respecting the laws of their country. Can someone explain to me how you protect yourself from 3 individuals who break into your home, who mean you and your family harm, who have evil in their eyes, and who might not leave until they've had their full share of fun? Satisfy themselves with your wife and your daughter? This situation happens every day in the world. What might Jehovah think about this subject? Well, Jehovah requires that Christians take measures to protect themselves in the face of potential danger. Could that go as far as owning a weapon? What does Jehovah think about it? Would Jehovah condemn a Christian who decided to own a weapon to protect themselves or their family? In the July 8, 1991 issue of Awake, page 13, you could read Exodus chapter 22, verses 2 and 3. I will quote it for you. If a thief is caught in the act of breaking in and he is struck and dies, there will be no guilt for murder. But if this happens after sunrise, there will be guilt for murder. The organization gives the following explanation. This verse refers to the case where a thief was fatally struck while breaking into a house at night. This act of self-defense was considered murder because the wrongdoer could have been identified and brought to justice. But at night, it would have been difficult for the homeowner to see the intruder and to be sure of his intentions. Therefore, if someone killed an unwanted visitor at night, he was not considered guilty. End of quote. Not considered guilty, of course, as we understand, in Jehovah's eyes. Studying the Bible is truly interesting because it helps us understand Jehovah's thinking. If you lived in ancient Israel and one or more malicious people entered your property at night, Jehovah told you, do whatever you want, my friend. If you want to take the risk of neutralizing him calmly, to lay him down on a couch and get him to talk about his childhood in order to assess how dangerous he is, go ahead. There's no problem. Now, if you prefer to take him out, I absolutely won't hold it against you. Yes, Jehovah also required that his servants work. The sword at the belt during the reconstruction of the wall of Jerusalem. It was also Jehovah who allowed his people to arm themselves and defend themselves against their enemies. He saw no problem with that. The Christian Greek scriptures do not change Jehovah's way of thinking at all. What is condemned is showing violence when we could clearly avoid it. Romans 12:17-19 reads, "Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Consider what is good from the perspective of all people, if possible. As far as it depends on you, live in peace with everyone. But beloved, do not take revenge yourselves, but leave room for God's wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says Jehovah. This is most certainly according to Deuteronomy 32:35. So the question would be as follows. Without resorting to any form of violence, can I truly protect my own life or the precious life of my beloved family, my personal virtue or the cherished virtue of my entire family? If so, then all the better. If not, I strongly encourage everyone to diligently study Jehovah's profound thinking to fully understand precisely what he graciously allows you to do and what specific measures he permits you to thoughtfully take to effectively protect yourself and your dearly loved ones. Since nowhere does the organization clearly explain how far a Christian can go in an extreme situation, it seems logical to me to consider that this is a personal and conscience matter. In the next and final video, I suggest we take the time to examine the communication mechanism used by the governing body to promote this so-called blind obedience to those who lead us. We will analyze the film in 2 episodes produced by Jehovah's Witnesses, which you can watch for free on the JW.org website. It's titled Let Jehovah Direct Your Steps. This film is, in my view, quite a powerful tool used by the organization to specifically encourage brothers and sisters to blindly obey any instruction they might receive. And on this occasion, I will pose a particularly relevant question to my dear brothers and sisters, and it will take a clever Jehovah's Witness to be able to give me an answer. To my right is the main video of this channel, and to my left, you can click on the little bubble to subscribe. Thank you for listening, and see you very soon.